Good afternoon. So, I'm starting a podcast. My name is Jane Osborne, and I think it's time that I give my mind a spotlight because I've given plenty of other parts of my personality a spotlight, and this is next. And it's vulnerable and it's scary, but that's what this episode is going to be about vulnerability. So in my life, I've been vulnerable a lot of times. And it started accelerating more when I got into my 20s. And I was really afraid. I've honestly experienced fear like so deeply on so many things. I think it is the main emotion that I felt, but it's also the main pathway that has taken me to great heights and made my life way more fulfilling. Because the way I see it is fear and excitement are two sides of the same coin. So there's a lot of things that I was afraid of getting older. As a teenager, I was afraid to dance, to express myself physically. That was scary. But then I started blading, and that was so fun that I didn't even care about embarrassing myself. And sometimes I would look at the videos of when I was a beginner and cringe, but I also thought it was really cool because I saw my own improvement. When we're vulnerable, sometimes it can be embarrassing. Sometimes it can be goofy, but every cool person that you've ever seen in your life had to go through that. I am so convinced. Every cool person had to be a dork first. I think that a lot of the things that I was afraid to do, I was actually excited to do, but I had a belief that I couldn't. And the only way sometimes to reframe a belief or a fear is to just do it. You have to just do it. And if not for the thing that you're doing, just do it for the fact that you're facing the fear itself. Like, that's a win. And you have to take your wins. You get small wins every day. You can give yourself small wins every day, and you can take those and run with them. No one can tell you you can't. Who's going to tell you? If you're worried about, the vulnerability, like, for example, going to blading competitions. It's gotten better and better every year, baby. It's like so fun now because I'm comfortable talking with people. Like, I went through so many awkward interactions and like meeting people and being awkward, and like you just push through it. Just push through it. Sometimes you just have to put your head down and go for it, because oftentimes those feelings that come up, we think we have to think our way through them. We think we have to find solutions. But there is only complications because there's darkness. But true lightheartedness, true fun doesn't feel serious. And that's kind of where humility comes into play. Is you don't have to worry about doing things perfectly because people are messing up every single day, all the time, at every moment. And in little ways, in big ways, if you're doing things with the intention of love, with the intention that you want to grow as a person and grow your connections, whether it's a connection to your body, a connection to your spirit, your soul, your heart, your mind, other people, it's important to be trying. And a lot of times trying takes vulnerability. Every time you grow as a person, it's going to take vulnerability. Right now, me starting this podcast, it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. Like, I've been putting it off, but then when I actually was like face to face, where I was like, wait a second, like, I'm actually gonna do it. That decidedness made me come face to face with all the fear that I felt around it. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, like, I have to talk about things that are personal to me that I've learned. And like, what if people disagree? What if people blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you have to just say blah, 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 blah. Because what's talking in there? What's talking? At the end of the day, it's not that serious. At the end of the day, it's the end of the day, and then the next day comes. And then, boom, life moves on. What even was that, The only thing that makes you worry about it is yourself. No one's going to dwell on things as much as you do. So if you just push through it, you have to just put your head down and go for what it is that you want. And if you're afraid, then that's a good sign. In my opinion, that's a good sign. And I get it, it's hard. But don't worry about that either, because if you miss your chance, another one will come. And instead of being afraid of missing the chances that you get, put your feeling into appreciating the moments that come and appreciating that you get opportunities. Because if you let fear decide what you're going to do, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be paralyzed, because that's what fear does. It paralyzes you. It makes you think that everything is serious and important and of consequence, when really nothing is of consequence. People forgive each other, whether it's divinity, God, the angels. They're forgiving, and the consequences are there to help you grow, not because anything is out to get you. Consequences are just part of life, and they're just a stepping stone. So none of it is serious, really. The only reason we need seriousness is to battle the darkness sometimes. We need serious levels of love to get out of it sometimes. Fear makes things bigger than they are, and they don't have to be. You can just do things. You can just do it. Because life is more than a few people's judgment. Life is what you make of it, and nothing should stop you from making things of it, because that's fun. And I think a lot of people are on this earth to just have fun, if not everyone, even scientists. You can't tell me scientists aren't having fun, because everyone loves to create. Everyone is an artist, and the creation might be creating a reality where they're constantly discovering new gems of what they're interested in and the way that they understand the world. When you are afraid of doing something, or even if you're disconnected from your desires, I want you to go back and think about all the different parts of you that had desires at one point, whether it was you at 7 years old, 14 years old, 18 years old. Doesn't matter. You have desires for a reason. I honestly believe we have desires based on our capabilities and what we're meant to do in this world. We don't have desires for no reason. Everything that is important to us has a root of purity, and it guides us to what we need to do. And we don't need to do it. But I personally think that there's a level of responsibility that we should take. Because everyone says, oh, if everyone did what they were supposed to do, if everyone expressed themselves, then the world would be a better place. But the truth is, if a couple of people are doing the most in a room of 50 people, 100 people, they change the whole room. Because when 2 people, when 1 person, when 3 people are doing the most, that means everyone else is able to just do the bare minimum, and that already elevates everything. They raised the standard, and all you had to do was meet it, So if you are the person doing the most, you don't necessarily need everyone to be doing it. And it's powerful to do one good deed. Whether that good deed is connecting with yourself, or cleaning a room because you've decided that you deserve a clean room, Instead of being afraid of judgment over a clean room, you decide that you deserve It's like the reframing of beliefs, Fear will paralyze you, but if you can reframe it into love and into excitement, I'm excited to have a clean room. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to do that. I'm afraid, but I know I should, I know that something is going to evolve or change. And I don't know what blessings putting my words out there is going to bring to me or anyone else, but I needed to hear a lot of the things that I'll be speaking on. And that's enough, because I'm thankful for all the people that expressed themselves. And any form of expression is good. I think that at any level, you can resonate with other people, because there's always going to be someone who's going through the same thing that you're going through. So if you get on the dance floor and you suck at dancing, there's going to be another person that sees that and goes, oh my gosh, they're doing it and they suck. That means I can do it, even though I suck, Like, I was at a show recently and I really wanted to jump in the mosh pit. I didn't. But to be fair, I got injured in a mosh pit. And in that moment, I was thinking, I don't really know, how to do all these crazy mosh moves that they're doing. I bet if I just jumped in there, I'd get the hang of it, But the spotlight was, on the mosh pit. It was, scary. I was if I go in there, everyone's gonna see me. It was, scary. And I didn't do it that time. But I know that I'll get another chance. And the mindset that I was in, I've shaped a little bit better to be more resonant with who I want to be. And so I know that next time I get the opportunity, I'll take it. And it'll be fun. And it'll be a good memory. I almost jumped in when I saw another girl jump in, and she was laughing and didn't really know what she was doing. And I was like, wow, I want to do that, Messing up is still a form of self-expression that helps other people. So if you are afraid to express yourself in any way, if you're hiding any part of you for reason of perfectionism, you're just scared of vulnerability, and that's okay. But vulnerability is going to bring you and everyone around you blessings, because that makes waves and it means something. It's meaningful. And it's lighthearted, but it's meaningful and it's powerful. Any form of self-expression is important. Don't let fear stop you from expressing yourself, because vulnerability is where the money's at. That's what helps everyone grow. It's cooperation with yourself, if anything. Everything takes practice. So just jump in. Just jump in. Whatever's stopping you, whatever you think is stopping you, is not actually stopping you. There is no physical barrier. There is only the barrier of will and emotion. That is the only barrier. Truly. Your physical world shapes around what you will do, around the actions that you will take in the moment. So it's all just excuses at the end of the day. And I know. I knew that me putting off doing a podcast had nothing to do with my messy room. It had nothing to do with how prepared I was. Prepared? What does that even mean? We're never prepared for anything. We only think we are. We only have to reach the standard that lets us face the fear. That's the only standard. And you make that standard. You make it. So it's all just made up, really. And you can just do stuff. So even if it's not perfect, that doesn't mean that it won't be valuable. Because if you're doing something out of love, that's something you're meant to be doing. It's literally part of your purpose. And being true to yourself is very important. And increasing your capacity of self-expression is important because it increases everyone's capacity around you. It improves the collective. And so that's why I'm starting a podcast. It's because I know part of my purpose, as afraid as I am of putting my mind out there, and as many times as people told me that I was a chatterbox as a kid and that I talked too much, I'm just gonna talk to the camera and talk away and give my voice a spotlight earnestly. I don't know how it's gonna go, but anything done with good intention is good practice. Maybe a podcast isn't the way that I'm going to expand people's consciousness with what I believe and what I've thought about, but it's one step. And I want to be taking steps. I want to be walking through life. Because if I stand still, then I'm never going to find anything new. And I'm never going to create anything new. And humans need creation. They need novelty. Life gets more beautiful when you're walking through it. So whatever step you want to take that you are afraid of, I understand the fear. There are people that have made me feel really small. That doesn't mean that I'm small. It just means that they didn't understand the vastness and the value because they're not connected with themselves, which is sad. But I'm here and I'm doing my thing. And you should do your thing too, whatever it may be. Because fear and excitement are two sides of the same coin. Whatever you desire, go after it. Fear has never been a reason to stop you. You'll start to realize the more you practice what you're capable of. Because have you ever done something and you're like, oh my gosh, like that came out so good, but next time I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And you start having all these ideas. You could have never had those ideas had you never done it. So it starts to get really fun. You don't even know the blessings that are waiting for you. You don't even know. But everything that brings value often takes a leap of faith, takes some vulnerability, takes crossing the threshold of fear. Every single thing, whether that's improving your relationships or improving your connection to yourself through action. All of it takes action, and all of those actions take a little bit of faith, depending on the weight of the action. But when you do it, you feel excited. You're like, I feel unstoppable, you know? That kind of empowerment is also really good because that can carry over into so many different things. Whatever you're afraid to do is whatever you secretly desire to do. And why do you desire it? Probably some loving reason. Because at the root of everything is love. At the root of your personality, at the core of your being is love. You do things because you love to do them. Even people that do drugs, they're trying to imitate love because they can't get it through action. They can get it through action, but it takes leaps of faith. And everyone values comfort. And I understand that. But safety is an illusion. We're so much more powerful than fear or clinging to safety that we feel we need to do. You can handle just about anything. And imagine all the things that you've handled up until this point that you were forced to handle. You didn't have a choice. You had to handle it. And think about how much that sucked. When you do things by choice, when you try and handle things by choice and you take a risk and you say, I'm going to do this thing because I love myself, or I love this, or I love that, whatever comes your way after that, you're saying, I can handle it. And you can. Because if you could handle hell, then I'm sure you can handle heaven. The fuck? So, go for it. Get after it. Because heaven is waiting for you. Literal heaven is waiting for you. You can bring heaven on earth with your actions. And energy comes back the next day. You might feel drained, but it'll come back. You'll get a good night's sleep, and for the first time, you'll have exerted your energy into something that gives back. And that will carry over into the next day. Not in the way that working your job would. It would carry over in a way that makes you ready to do the next thing, and it makes you excited. So, I encourage you. You can handle it. You can handle whatever comes your way from you putting yourself out there. You'll get through it because you've gotten through everything this far, right? So, why not go through some more shit? No, I'm just kidding. That concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you feel a little encouraged and ready for a new step. Thanks for watching.